Hi, everyone, and welcome to this episode of Soul Seeds, where my guest expert for today is the lovely Andrea. So, welcome, Andrea.
Hello. Hi. Nice to be here. Thank you.
You and Andrea is the author of some wonderful books, but also the CEO and founder of Ganga Moon Yoga and Reiki School. So that's wonderful to have you back as my guest, as you've been here before. But the topic we are going to discuss today is reading and writing poetry to heal. So I love this topic, and I also love that because to me the words have so much power, and I would love to know how do you see like those words have healing power?
Mm, I think there is sorry, I have to click a button here.
It's
I
okay.
think there is I think everything in the universe has a vibration and frequencies and vibrations I think are what actually has healed my body. And
Mhm,
I think each word has a force and a power.
mhm,
Um, But what I think is coming is that how do we use it? How do we pick the words?
right.
How do we heal ourselves with this force?
Mm,
And um, what I learned going through things is that writing poetry for me is was an outlet that was just I was born with. I could channel
mhm,
the words, I could channel poetry. And when I would see it on paper, there was this force that even though what I was writing was negative, you could say,
mhm,
or like bad, I could twist the words. And most of my poems would end up being positive.
mhm.
Somebody said that to me once, like, yeah, but you always write about positive things. But
Right.
it was actually seeing the negative that allowed me to also write the positive. And I
Mm,
think that when you can do that, there's like this dance or this alchemy that happens
right.
with the words, but also it's a dance and an alchemy that happens inside.
Mhm.
So it makes the
Yeah.
pain not so painful. And I think that's ultimately healing.
Mm. Yeah, because not many people know this about me, but I've actually been writing poetry since my teens. And yeah,
Yeah. Wow.
40 years or so, but I've never done anything with it. I never published anything. It was also for my own healing and growing. And to me, writing poetry was always like giving words to feelings that I otherwise could not express, basically.
Yes. Yes. Yes, and I was at a book signing. I remember our father said, I think I'm going to buy your book for my daughter. Something happened, but I don't know what it is. And then they came to a book signing together, and she's so pretty.
Mhm.
And she held the book and she said, I didn't know there were words for what happened to
Mm.
me. I had no idea. And she said, but once I read the poem in my book called Rohypnol, once she read that poem, she was like, that those were the words of what
Right.
happened.
Yeah.
And the Greeks had a saying for poetry called mimesis. It's
Mhm.
in the very front of my book. It, it's called mimesis, and it means imitation in Greece.
Mhm.
But it's basically saying that the writer writes the poem at one point in life and
Yeah.
the reader reads it at another, and
Mm.
both of the souls are transformed.
Oh, that's touching, isn't it?
Like this has been like I never like yeah, we need to share this message.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah, because as you said, because sometimes when you write something down, it can express itself differently than when you actually speak the words, because sometimes we don't really have the vocabulary for it, but somehow writing it down is somehow different. It has a different energy, but it can also be very healing, right?
Yeah, I think there's a force behind it. So
Mhm.
some of my, it's interesting that you said that because when I was writing at 7, I call that more of the channeling because I was looking at the words on the paper like covet and covetous. And I was like, okay, well, I hear it, so I'm going to write it. But
Right.
meanwhile, I had never learned that when I was
Mhm.
7 years old. I didn't know the words.
Right.
Right? So there was this vocabulary, and a lot of people, when they read my poems, will be like, "Wow, your vocabulary!"
Yeah.
And I was like, "Yeah, it's like um, Yeah, there's a force, I think, that comes with it. If you have the bravery and the courage to write down what you hear in your mind
Right.
and to let that channel flow, it is a force. And I think it is perhaps a bridge between the physical and the spiritual worlds that you're just
Hmm.
to write a poem is just capturing a
Yeah.
moment onto paper.
And at first I didn't realize it because I started writing when I was very young, but I
Yeah.
always wrote in English, even though that is
What?
my second language.
Really? Oh
Yeah.
my gosh.
Somehow I expressed myself better in English in that sense, at least not always while talking, but definitely while writing.
Wow,
The-
that's so interesting. Oh my gosh. Yes.
So that's
And
always
and
fascinating.
just I agree with you. When I'm talking or making small talk, it's very,
Mhm.
very hard for me.
Yeah,
Um, because I feel things deeply from the inside. Yeah.
yeah. We're very spiritual and I think also high sensitive beings. So sometimes that makes it easier to express yourself on paper than
Yeah.
through your words, basically like this
Yeah.
when you speak them.
Yeah. Yeah. Absolutely. Yeah.
And,
Writing is definitely yeah. If I had a pen, I could just keep writing and writing. Yeah, nonstop.
and do you have also like a certain practice or a ritual do you write every day or how does that
Oh,
work in your day?
this is on my vision board just to write every day.
Yeah.
I do write every day, but it's when I always have pens and papers. Like
Mhm.
I always have it looks like this, like a stack. I always have pretty pens. They're in every room. And I
Yeah.
always have notebooks. Like you
Mhm.
can see behind me. There's so many notebooks that I have.
Yeah.
So and then I just fill them like on my yoga mat. There's a pen and a paper, and when the inspiration comes or when it's stillness in the yoga class,
Mhm.
I'll write what I hear. In the living room beside my bed, I sleep with a notepad and a pen, and in my kitchen.
Mm.
I'm always trying to catch it because I think for me, having this gift and being able to hone in on it and as this age, it's just it gets easier. And so I always have to have things accessible. I feel
Mhm.
if I don't write it down that I'm missing something
Yeah,
because
I'm
I
the
won't
same.
remember it.
This is so good. I want to remember it. I'm like, oh gosh, where's my pen?
Yeah, or that now that I've been published, it's like, okay, who is this for?
Right.
Who needs to hear these words? You
Yeah,
know?
because I think that's the same for you. You can get these random like spurs of inspiration or like this line in your head. It's like, oh, that's so good. I have to write that down
Yeah,
just in the most random of places or
yes,
moments.
that totally happens. Yeah.
Yeah. So yeah, I have a notebook collection that is I don't know how big, but yeah.
You have one too? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
it's so cute. It's
And,
actually one of the things that I started to publish. There's 250 page blank journals like on my Amazon author page
mhm,
because I really felt like yes, I published the books, but
mhm.
without those little journals, like they're so important. They're as important as the books, really,
Exactly. Yeah,
right?
because as I said, you can get these like just like these light bulb moments, or just these. Sometimes also for my poetry, I sit in nature and I get quite inspired there, and then I hear this line come in my head, and like, oh yeah, I have to remember that one.
Yeah, yeah, especially in nature where you can
Yeah.
hear. I mean, the indigenous people, that's what they did for that's how they heard and the universe speaks, right? And I think there's vibrations and then putting yourself in that spot,
Mhm.
yeah, it might amplify. Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Or it's like yoga, like what I teach in Zen, it's called Vipassana yoga. So we sit and we're aware. And Vipassana means insight.
Mm.
So if you're sitting still, there's an insight that comes. You
Mhm.
really hear insight, right? So
Right.
in my
Right.
yoga studio, I have journals and pens. And I always try and say, like, if you're quiet and something comes to you, please write it down. Here's some free journals, some free
Yeah.
pens, right? Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. It's in that quiet that you get your inner voice to speak to you, right?
It's in the stillness we can hear. Yeah,
Mhm.
for sure.
Absolutely. And
Yeah.
how would you advise others that want to incorporate like writing? It doesn't even necessarily have to be like writing poetry, but just writing to incorporate that into their healing process.
Mm. You know, one thing that I found most effective working with people is that let's just turn that question to relationship. A lot of people have like one relationship that doesn't feel quite right. And one exercise I like to do with people in that situation is to write a letter of all the things that you want to say to that person, how you wanted the situations to go, what, like, just all of it. Get it all on a piece of paper. Write down the hurt, write down what you wanted to say, write down how you it made you feel. And one lady came back after that exercise and just said, I don't feel it anymore.
Mm, yeah. I
Because I think a lot of times, or we weren't taught this, right?
yeah.
It's not a letter that you'll send. It's a letter because it heals your soul. Because
Right.
inside you're thinking of these things, and inside the mind, the way the mind works, it'll just ruminate and ruminate and ruminate.
Yeah.
But there's a force when it's on the paper, you can see it. It doesn't hurt you.
Yeah.
It's when it's inside and it's just kind of swimming around because the
Yeah. You
mind's
can use
nature.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, the mind's nature is just to wander. So if you
Mhm.
can catch it, put it on paper, then you can work with it,
Mhm.
right? Then you can say, I wanted to hear I'm sorry. You betrayed me. And it hurt me. If you
Mhm.
can have that on paper, it doesn't, there's no more swirling, right?
Mhm.
And then you can write the apologies and all the things. This is an internal process and it doesn't come from the outside. But
Mhm.
what I really want women to know, and anybody to know, if they've been hurt by somebody else, is that all you need to heal yourself is inside you right now.
Mhm.
This is one way that you could do today. And even someone who's passed, and write a letter of all the things you wish you could have done. Like, the time is not significant, but you are.
Mhm.
And if you have a pen and a paper, you can heal yourself. You write it all down and then
Mhm.
burn it.
Yeah, I remember a forgiveness project that was similar to that. I had to write a letter to someone who had hurt me and that I wanted to forgive. And I wrote what happened, and I wrote how I wish it happened, and how I said, because it didn't happen, I still forgive you. And that was super powerful.
Yeah, yeah. It's just it is. It's the laws of the universe. Where there is light, there can be no darkness.
Mhm.
Your mind cannot serve two masters. You cannot be happy and sad at the same time,
Mhm.
right? And so it's just getting to use these things for ourselves to be closer to our full loving nature potential that we are.
And I love that you mentioned that you channel these messages as well. And I would
Mm-hmm.
love to know, is channeling the same as automatic writing?
Hmm. I think it's a little bit different. Automatic writing, I could sit and write right now. I think that would be more automatic.
Mhm.
Channeling is probably more like when you're in nature, to relate it to what you said earlier, and you're in the environment and under the trees. I think it's more about creating a space for the divine to come through you and have some words to say. I think you can start to notice the difference between the two.
Mhm.
So if you act on it, it strengthens that voice, and you can really hear it clearly.
Mhm.
For me, it feels like if I'm not channeling what I'm hearing, it feels like almost like a push against me. Like, and I feel like, come on, you got to write it down. Don't be lazy. Go, just get your notebook. I'm not going away. And I'm like, okay. And then I'll go get my book and I'll write down what the divine has to say and I'll channel it.
Mhm.
Yeah. So it feels a little bit different than automatic writing. I feel like if anyone gave me a pen and a paper, I could just write nonstop.
Okay.
But the channeling, it feels like a knock, like, hello, I'm speaking through you, like, this is important. Yeah.
Yeah.
And I honor it because I really feel like these words aren't for me. Like when my book was published, I was so excited that the words would reach whoever they were meant to reach, because poems are really nice, but poems on my living room floor not helping anybody is really not as wonderful, but not as wonderful, right? So
Right. Yeah. Yeah, who knows? I might publish mine someday too.
Well, absolutely. I mean, wouldn't the saddest graveyard be the one with all your words in it buried with you?
That's so true. That's so true. Yeah. They're here to be heard by others.
And I mean, sometimes we think of just ourselves here in the conversation, but there's also people that are following behind us
Right.
and we'll need some footprints, like our ancestors who left things for you and I to follow.
Yeah.
And that's important too, that we contribute to
Mhm.
the
Yeah.
world today.
Yeah. So true. Thank you so much for today, Andrea. It was, as
You're
always, a joy
welcome.
to have you.
I love these soul seeds. I really do. Thanks for doing what you do. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
You're welcome.